It's a ham radio.
The Cadillac of ham radios.
Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. We've got a great episode for you today as usual, but first, we have a little housekeeping to take care of, and I'm going to turn it over to Jasmin to let you know where you can find us on social media and where you can listen to the podcast.
Thanks, Ashley. You can find us on Instagram at Ham Radio Media, all one word, on Twitter at HamThrow, on YouTube at Ham Radio Media, or using our handle Ham Radio 1983. We also have a Discord you can join, which is linked in the description of this episode. If you have a fan theory or question you want to share, you can email us at hamradiomedia@gmail.com. Ashley also has a fanfic on AO3 entitled Stranger Things College, which is also linked in the description. The podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and much more. If you like the show, please consider leaving us a rating or review. We have a lot of totally tubular stuff coming up, so be sure to follow us on social media to keep up with the podcast and all of our new content.
Welcome back to another episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. On today's episode, we will be continuing with our breakdown of the Stranger Things 5 date announcement teaser trailer from TUDUM.
So we pick back up with Steve and Dustin. We've got a shot of them holding flashlights and looking up at the ceiling. There's a black and white tiled floor beneath them that's covered in vines and what could be the lab. Dustin's got his red WSQK radio t-shirt on, and his face looks bruised, so this could follow the scene where he gets beat up at the cemetery, or this could be another incident. Steve's holding what looks like a bayonet. So personally, I'm still hoping that the nail bat makes an appearance because I miss that thing.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you can't have it come full circle to season 1 without having one of its more iconic items there, being the nail bat. I mean, that would be like, I want it to be like a scene of both Steve and Jonathan, like, using it because, Jonathan, nailed the nails into the bat and Steve used it in season 1, so it's like, a good way, for them to team up again. I think that would be a cool callback there.
Ashley, you know what I just noticed? I'm looking at the still again, and people online when we first got it were saying bayonet, but I'm now looking at it, I think he's holding a walkie, actually. I think that's the antenna, because I have it paused and it's like in HD, and the way he's holding it, that would make more sense if they're in this portion and they're radioing something else, or this is part of the same scene where they have Jonathan and Nancy are there, then this could be they're doing their part and they're radioing them. That would make more sense. Because I feel like the picture I saw with people were saying bayonet, it was blurrier. Like when it first came out, people were just taking screenshots, I think, of what we saw at TUDUM. But now that I'm looking at it in HD, I think it's a walkie. I think that's what it is. Huh. I seriously thought this was a bayonet, and now for the first time, I'm like, no, I think that's a walkie. I think.
Yeah, that definitely would make a lot more sense because, radios have always been a big thing in the show, and it seems like that's going to be even more of a thing in season 5, and, absolutely, it seems like they're going to be spending a lot of time in the Upside Down this season, so they definitely need to be able to communicate with each other, and so that definitely makes sense. Not saying not saying that having a weapon with them doesn't make any sense either. Of course, it's always good to come prepared, but I feel like at this point these characters certainly should know, okay, well, having something like a bayonet's only going to protect you, so much against these entities. But yeah, it would be very interesting to see Steve with a walkie because I don't think we've ever really seen him with one. Of course, it could have been Dustin's that he's just holding, but and also, I just thought of this, but maybe this could be a callback to in season 4 and episode 5 when Dustin's not episode 5, but season 4, when Steve brings up the low battery thing with the walkies, and there's, those funny scenes between him and Dustin with the walkie talkies, and in episode 5, when Dustin drops his bag and it has the walkie in it, when Eddie's trying to contact them and stuff. So I feel like good little callback moment here for between Steve and Dustin.
Yeah, and it renews my hope for the nail bat. Maybe we're going to see the nail bat again. I will say, I do think this is a bit odd that following season 2, I didn't really understand why the rest of the gang don't have walkies. Because my impression has always been that it's just the party that has them, plus, like Ellen Max. So in season 3, like, they talk about the low battery thing, and I'm like, why does everyone in this team not have a walkie? Like, why does Erica not have her? Including the adults, they should all have them. Because this is like their primary way of communicating. It also can't be infiltrated as easily. We know that the government has been tapping their phones and bugging their homes and messing with their cars and stuff for years. So having a dedicated line, it's not foolproof. Someone could get on that line. But since there's other people using radio frequencies in this area, it's a lot, easier to communicate, and it's less susceptible to spying. And I never really understood why they were just relying on the party and their walkies, especially since they used that so much in season 1 to get a hold of Mike and the gang when they were trying to, figure out where they were, and they were trying to hide Elle. So I never quite understood why they didn't all just go to Radio Shack right after that, especially since Bob worked there. So I never quite understood that, especially since at the end of 4, presumably walkie is the only way they're going to communicate with the Byers family, because they wouldn't have a phone set up. Like, they'd have to reinstall the phone. Even when they did, the government is looking for Elle, and, not like Elle or Hopper could use the phone right now. So walkie would be their primary means of communication. So I don't know, maybe they finally addressed that and got everybody walkies this season. I always thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah, and I know the party has been like the ones exclusively using the walkies, but even they like, I'm surprised like how little they seem to use them themselves in the course of the show. Like, I think, season 3 they used it pretty frequently, but whenever it was funny because in season 3, whenever it was very urgent, and Lucas was trying to get in touch with Max on her walkie, and she was ignoring him, and then Mike just called her on the phone. And so I think it's just a part of like the grander theme of Stranger Things, which is communication, and how important it is that we communicate properly with each other, and that always kind of seems to be not like a reason for all this happening to them, but it seems to be something that really hinders their progress, because none of them can get in touch with the other people, and again, just communication breakdowns. And I personally don't expect season 5 to be any different. But yeah, I'm definitely, if this is a walkie that he's holding, definitely excited to see that we're still going heavy on the walkies this season.
Yeah, me too. And my best friend has commented, like, starting with season 2, she's like, man, they need like a common like mailbox, or like a free library in a tree or something to like leave notes so everyone knows what's going on. And it's there to sort of facilitate the plot. And so you have that scene at the end where they all come together, which I've always loved. I was very sad we didn't get that in 4. I thought we were going to. Yeah, it's not a plot hole, but they do seem to have trouble like crossing wires, or lack of communication or miscommunication, or getting a hold of one another. And I get it's supposed to be allusion to a time before cell phones, but because they established pretty on the walkies worked all the way from Penthurst to all the way out to the cemetery after 4, I'm kind of like, okay, but everybody should have just gotten a walkie after 2 or during that time period, because communication is clearly a big a hindrance, a barrier at times, that they do have a means of communicating. It's not absolute, They're not like a cell phone, but it is there. That plus a landline telephone should be enough. So hopefully they make some progress on that in 5, because as time's going on, I'm like, well, you all know this is an issue. Just all go buy walkies. I mean, Bob could have gotten them a deal. He could have gotten them like a wholesale. He could have bought a whole bunch of them in bulk, and Bob could have probably gotten them a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, for sure. But I have a question for you in this clip. So, what do you think that Steve and Dustin are looking at here? Because, I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but and I've seen this floated around on Twitter and Reddit and other spaces like that. But I believe that they are at the lab in this clip. I mean, we know the lab's going to be coming back, and we also know, like, after confirmation that, from Sean Levy, that a post that he made and behind the scenes at the lab, that at least Dustin will be at the lab, and also on Starcourt Study Hall's Discord, one of them had posted on there that the flooring of where Dustin and Steve are standing looks a lot like the pattern on, like, the courtyard area of the lab. Like, how in an aerial view of the lab, and it like in the middle of, like, the shape, like, of the cross, that's, like, where the courtyard area is. And so there's, like, an opening, like, you can see, like, up out into the sky. And so I think it's pretty obvious, like, they're in the upside down version of wherever, in this case, the lab. So I say all that to say, what do you think that they're looking up at here?
It's a good catch about the courtyard. I think it's cool that they're going to an area that we haven't been to before, because they've explored a lot of the lab, but it's cool that for the finale they're exploring other areas of the building that we haven't seen before, and I suppose that makes sense as they're looking for stuff in here. So what they're looking at, my first thought would be like a really big gate, because for the other behind the scenes footage and, like, new footage we've gotten, we see a lot of big gates. We see that mucus wall. We see other gate-like things. So, and this is part of that earlier scene where you can see the red glow that they're walking towards. I think it's like either a really big gate of some kind or something like that, something that's part of the environment. That's my guess.
Yeah, those were my thoughts too. Like, I feel like this is part of their mission. Like, they've been sent to look for something here, and so I feel like this is part of in the behind the scenes teaser. If we see Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Dustin, look into the portal, most likely, and I feel like they, like, break off into groups. Like, Jonathan and Nancy are going, doing something, and then Steve and Dustin are coming here. So yeah, I feel like they have gotten some intelligence about something in this part of the lab, assuming that's where they are, that they need to go and find or inspect. And so that's why Steve and Dustin are there. But it's very interesting that, like, the lab, if that is what they're doing and that is where they are, that the lab is the place for the info here, and could maybe hold the key to the ending, which, I mean, it does make sense, because that's where 11 did open the original gate. I mean, who knows? Vecna could be hiding out there. Wouldn't that be ironic? But yeah, I'm very excited, though, to see that we're coming back to the mystery side of the show, which is something I felt like has been missing for a while. And I know, like, they had mystery last season, but I don't know, it's like they're going back to kind of that mysterious feel that they had in season 1.
Yeah, I like that too. The Hawkins Fault was my favorite last season, so it's nice to get back to that mystery element. And We know that the Upside Down is frozen on the day Will disappeared, and taking that logic farther, if this is the Upside Down in the lab, does that mean that that stuff has continued to grow? Maybe what they're looking at here is part of that. The gate was opened and it's continued to grow and develop and is now seeping into the real world. And maybe this is one of like the mother gates or something like that. Because I could see that. Like, we know that the physical items in the Upside Down that are from the real world are frozen, but it appears, based on what we see in 4, that other elements have continued to grow and change, like the Upside Down elements have, and now it's bleeding into the real world. I'm kind of wondering if maybe, is this the original gate that Elle opened, and has it grown? Is that what they're looking at here?
Yeah, I don't, obviously I don't know the answer to that, but I mean, I know like in season 3, they did establish like, yes, she closed up that gate, the mother gate, for good. And, like Hopper, I was there, I saw him, cover it up, and fill it in with cement. But, that's what it looks like, in reality, in the real world, in the right side up. But we don't know what that looks like in the Upside Down. I mean, it could very well still be alive and breathing in the Upside Down. We just don't know that. And hopefully, if that is the case, that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and something I think that's interesting that season 4 established is, up until 3, we've been under the impression that once you take care of something in the real world, it takes care of it on the other side. But then 4 opened up this idea that, well, that may not be true. Okay, well, so you took care of it on this end, but that doesn't mean it's taken care of on the other side. And the Upside Down that we see in 4 is, vastly, evolved and changed from what we see in 1. It's clear that that's been evolving and growing and changing, and it's not clear if the monsters that live down there were creatures that were already there. We see the Demogorgons and the Demodogs, but we don't see the others. So are those things that Vecna created? Are those things that are already there that have mutated, or are they already hanging out down there? Do they all work for him? Has he co-opted them? Do they already exist? Or did he create them the same way he created the Mind Flayer? From the particles, the growing and evolving all directly linked to him? Is it the natural evolution of the place? Why is it all decayed? They've never answered that question either. So I'm really curious, and I feel like they've left enough breadcrumbs in 4 to open this stuff up. And I'm really excited for the visuals, because the few we did get in this teaser look really cool. All right, so next up, we've got a scene of Eleven and Hopper. They are bathed in red light with what looks like sirens going off in the background. Ella screaming and covering her ears like she's in pain. She's wearing one of Sarah's hair ties on her wrist, and the ring Mike got her on her right hand. She's also wearing the blue bandana around her neck and the sweatpants and top we saw in earlier behind-the-scenes pics and footage. We see Hopper hugging her and trying to comfort her. Hopper's got a beanie on and what looks like tactical gear. This appears to be from the same scene that the behind-the-scenes still of Hopper and Elle that we got after TUDUM, and the scene of Lieutenant Ackers in the behind-the-scenes teaser. And this also does appear to correlate with other footage we've gotten of a lab space or some kind of storage space, it looks like.
Yeah, and what I find very interesting about this clip is, and that it made me think about like mainly two big occasions in the past seasons of the show. But one of them being in season 2, in chapter 7, The Lost Sister, when Callie is causing Eleven to have this illusion of Brenner, speaking to her, and he's like, you have a wound, Eleven, a terrible wound, and it's festering and it will kill you. And it obviously scares Eleven to the point where she just starts screaming, "Get out of my head! Get out of my head!" And so she also like cups her ears when she does this. But also in season 3, after the bite, when they're in the mall, everyone's gotten back together in the mall, and like before she collapses, she cups her ears again, just like this, because she's in obvious discomfort, obvious pain. And so, and she also does that in season 4, in chapter 2, Vecna's Curse, when at the Rinkomania, when she's being bullied at the rink. She does it again. And so it's very interesting that, she's doing this again. And I believe what is happening here is it took me quite a few times of watching this over and over again and in slow motion for me to come to the conclusion that what I think is most likely happening here is that 11 has just used her powers, because when we see her nose, she has a nosebleed. But, her hair looks kind of disheveled, and she's got her hands cupping her ears. She's in obvious discomfort, obvious pain, and Hopper's, there with his arm around her, comforting her. And so he's not in any sort of, pain or discomfort. He's just comforting her. So what I believe is happening here, I believe that Vecna is messing with her. Or unless, she's sensing something happening in her void, that's just kind of gotten her upset. But I think the most likely scenario here is that Vecna is messing with her. So it'll be very interesting to see, what's going on here. But I wouldn't put it past him to do that, because we know how he feels about her. But and I also noticed too, more so in the production still of this, of her and Hopper here in this same place, that in the light fixtures in the back sort of look a lot like the light fixtures of that place where Colonel Sullivan was when he was torturing the agent. So I kind of wonder maybe if this is a military base, military barracks. I think it could also be tied in with the same sequence of Lieutenant Akers coming in. So yeah, I know there's only so many like clips they could choose, but when I first watched this scene, when it was happening live at TUDUM, I thought she was having like an epic power moment. But again, after multiple rewatches, I think it's just something as simple as Vecna messing with her. And I wonder what he's doing, if that is the case, what he is using against her to mess with her. Is it something that's like, with Max, or it's something that I feel like it's got to be something that he knows is going to upset her.
Yeah, and that's a good catch about the comparison with what happens with Callie and the Lost Sister. That could definitely be it. Because you're right, it does appear to be affecting her, but not Hopper. And just look at the production still again from what appears to be this scene. It looks like her and Hopper are getting ready to face something that's supposed to be coming towards them. And if this is from the same scene, there's like a basin and chemicals behind them. So I wonder if this is a military lab that they're in. Maybe they've gone in there to get something, or to try to prevent Vecna from doing something. Or we saw in previous seasons the Russians trying to replicate what Hawkins Lab had been doing. So maybe this is their new attempt to try to replicate what was done in the past, and they need something in there. But it hadn't occurred to me that he could be just messing with her. That, I thought it was going to affect both of them. But yeah, you could be right. I was kind of wondering if maybe she'd used her powers to do something, and then like blowback from that had caused her pain. And it's possible to both. It could be something physical and something mental. But yeah, that's a really good catch there. All right, then next up, we have what we're calling the mucus wall. We've got two people, which could be 11 and Hopper, though it's not super clear, holding flashlights and standing in front of a giant mucus wall in the Upside Down. In the center is what looks like another gate. And this is the first shot we got was like, wow, like the special effects on this season are going to be, absolutely incredible. Just look at this thing. Clearly things have evolved at a hyper fast level just from 4 to 5 is about a year and a half, and things are getting real.
Yeah, and I think the craziest part is like, what if this wall, whatever it is, has been growing and festering since season 1? I mean, it's just crazy to think about. And like whenever you play the clip of it, in slow motion, I mean, you can see this wall stretches for miles, and I mean, it's obviously in the upside down, and so it's like, one thing I'm really wanting to know right now is where's the location of this wall? Like I've seen some speculation out there that this is at the border of Hawkins, but also like it's like the border between the area where Henry first lands after 11 first pushes him in. But I mean, and then I've also seen theories about how this is like the side of the new monster, huge creature, or like this is an incubation area. I mean, I like all the theories. That's the problem, Jasmin. I like all of them because I think they are all very very possible to be the case. And I'm hoping that it turns out to be none of them and that the show really does surprise us. But I'm also finding it very interesting that assuming that this is Elle and Hopper, like, what has caused them to get here, to find this. I mean, obviously it's something that's important. And so, yeah, but like you said, I mean, I know you and I, we talked immediately after this teaser dropped, and we just immediately were just fawning all over how great the cinematography and the special effects already look. And it's just so incredible. They're still actively in post-production, and this one little clip already looks so great. And I think too, it was just so neat to see a part of the Upside Down that we've never seen before, because up to this point, all we've really seen is what looks like Hawkins and obviously the entities from the Upside Down, and then the tendrils from the vines, but we've never seen anything that's really true to the environment, other than the spores, of course. But in terms of I guess what I'm trying to say is it's topography, if you will, of the Upside Down. We've outside of that egg that Hopper found in season 1, we've never seen all of this from the Upside Down. So I think it's very cool that we are gonna get to see that this season. And then there was stuff from the tunnels in season 2. But yeah, other than that, we've never seen it to this scale before. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's intentional that they waited. From doing our script series, we know that there was supposed to be wider shots in season 4 showing more of the Upside Down. And it's unclear why that was cut. It could have been budgetary. It could have been they decided they wanted to leave a little bit of mystery to really hit home with season 5, which regardless of the reason, I'm excited that they waited because this looks really cool. And I think because they've just kept it Hawkins, now they can expand, and it's going to be, I think, more exciting. I think if they showed us more of the topography before, then it might not have been as impactful, but because we've never seen it before, it is. And I like all the theories as well. I lean towards it being the barrier of some kind. So either the barrier between Hawkins, the county line, so to speak, Or, like you said, Elle sent Henry into the Upside Down back in the 70s. That could be it too. I think this is some kind of barrier. Like you said, it goes for several kilometers, it looks like. I think this is a barrier of some kind. And we know that as soon as like Will crosses over into Hawkins, he can feel Vecna. And Elle and him share that look. So we know there's something about the line, so to speak, of when Hawkins ends and begins. We know there's something there. And if that's what this is, where there's like a physical wall on the other side, that would explain it. But then again, there appears to be some kind of gate in this. So we know that there's something special physically about Hawkins. So I lean towards it being some kind of wall or barrier along one of those, fault lines rather than a creature, because, I feel like the creatures in the show tend to be a lot more mobile, and I just don't see how you'd fight a giant wall and make it look cool. So I feel like they gotta either break through this or break it down or go through it somehow. And you can tell they spent a lot of time and money on the special effects budget and the post-production. And clearly it's been worth it. Clearly it's paying off, because these are some of the biggest, most epic shots we've gotten, and they're the most, appear to be the most like labor intensive as well. So I'm really excited to see what this stuff looks like when we get to see it, on screen in the final version. The other thing I did want to mention about this is in the production stills that they released afterwards, is in all the other ones, the actors are tagged, but in this one, no one is tagged, which I think is interesting. They could have easily tagged those actors. So I think it's interesting that they didn't. So it could be them. It could just be, well, we tagged them earlier, so we don't tag them again. Or it could be they're wanting to leave some mystery here. This could be other characters. But I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. But yeah, that is interesting. Maybe they do want to keep it kind of shrouded in mystery, because I mean, really, like, I kind of believe it's Ellen Hopper, just like, just by what they seem to be wearing. I can also see Levin and Mike, but I think like right now I'm going on it's 11 and Hopper, because kind of heard that they're going to be having a lot of screen time together this season, Hop and Elle. So I mean, from earlier on, and the clip earlier on, I mean, it does seem like her and Hop are going on some kind of solo mission of their own. Well, not solo, but of them, just the two of them. But yeah, maybe it is something they want to keep shrouded in mystery. But I also think the big thing with this clip is they wanted us to focus more so on the wall instead of like who's looking at the wall. For right now, it's not important who's looking at it. It's important that we, the audience, are seeing the wall. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I just zoomed in really close on the production still. So one of them is definitely Elle based on this outfit. It appears to be the same like sweatpants, crop top, short sweatpants thing going on. But the person next to her isn't clear, because at first I was like, I don't know if that's Hopper because it doesn't look big enough. But again, we're really far away. This one does appear to have like a beanie or a hat on, so it could be him. It easily could be another character as well, though, because like she's in front, so they're covering half their body. And then looking in the background, there are trees and vines. So I think this is the edge of a forest. And we do know there's a forest when you leave Hawkins, they drive past forest. So this could be the borderline of Hawkins. But I agree. I think they wanted us to focus on the mucus wall and not who was in the foreground. But I do think it's interesting they didn't tag anybody here, because they could have easily tagged Millie Bobby Brown in this, the way they did in the other photo, and whoever the second person is. But yeah, I've heard that too. It sounds like Ellen Hopper on their own mission for the majority of the season. So this could very well be them in this shot.
Yeah, and the only other thing I'll say about this is that we also know from the behind the scenes pictures that were released by both Millie and Ross Duffer back, I think in February and March of 2024, is that, I mean, we also know that Mike, Elle, and I believe Will are also going to be teaming up to do something in the Upside Down as well. And I believe in one of those that Finn was also wearing a beanie. Now that could be like, it was filming at night and it was cold, and they just had him put it on, or he was just wearing it because it was cold. But I mean, it also could be Mike in character wearing a beanie as well. So I mean, it definitely could be a part of that too. Though I can't imagine Mike and 11 leaving Will by himself in there. I can't see that happening. But which again, I'm very excited to see that, not because of Byler stuff. Okay, I want that very clear right now. It's not because of that. It's because I feel like we've never really seen these three, especially Mike and 11, ever team up to do anything like this before. It's usually always 11 and then everybody else, So that is something I'm very excited for in season 5, because it's very much just kind of a breath of fresh air,
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. And like you said, they've never really had a team up. We've seen Elle and Hopper team up, and then we've seen Elle help everybody else. But it'll be cool to see that kind of a team up, and we see Will in those other shots. So I don't think they would have left him alone either. I tend to think that this is either Elle and Hopper on their like separate mission, or Elle and somebody else on their mission. I don't think it's part of the same thing where Will is there, because again, they would not leave him alone down there. And from the other footage we have, it looks like Elle and Will are on these parallel journeys throughout the season, but we do know they intersect. We do have that footage of the junkyard where you can see Joyce and Hopper and Elle and some others in the background. So they're not completely separate. We know they are meeting up at various points. But, the other thing they always try to do is do different team-ups and pair-ups every season, which I always enjoy. Already it looks like we're going to get some cool ones. We're going to get Joyce and Robin. We're going to get Robin and Murray. So I think maybe that's part of this. If this isn't Elle and Hopper, it's Elle teaming up with somebody else. And I always appreciate they try something a little bit different each season, where they have different characters, team up and do things. This is their last chance to pair up characters that haven't paired up before. And one of the best team-ups of the show happened in season 2 with Steve and Dustin, when they'd basically written themselves into a corner and went, oh crap, who's available right now for Dustin to talk to? Oh, Steve's available. Okay. And then that led to a whole different avenue that they were not previously planning on. So I always love it when they do different team ups, because it often leads in their writing process to other avenues for the story, other, types of interactions, or, prompts different things from the characters that you wouldn't get in their normal team up, or what we've seen in the past. So I always love it when they do that, and I always appreciate them trying something different within the group every season. Okay, so then we have a scene at a military base where we've got Mike, Derek, Joyce, Will, and 2 new female characters. Mike has his hands thrown out and is trying to protect those behind him. Will has his arm around Joyce and appears to have collapsed, and it looks like Joyce is holding him up and is trying to drag him to safety. Mike's face looks bruised, so it's possibly got into a fight prior to this or was somehow injured. We've noticed that the characters do seem more bruised in this footage than they have in previous seasons. It's normally just Steve that gets beat up, but we see multiple characters with bruises on their face. That it's going to be a more violent season, it looks like. And it's unclear if those are, other people, if these are monsters, some combination. The 2 girls behind them look closer to Holly's age, so my guess is that they could be friends of hers. Perhaps Erica and Holly's friends are searching for them in season 5, the way the party did for Will in season 1. The Duff brothers and everyone has talked about bringing the series full circle, and since it looks like Holly and Erica might go missing this season, that could be way that they're bringing it all together. The kids behind Mike look horrified, so I'm guessing there's a monster or Vecna coming at them. I didn't notice this until I slowed it down, but there's actually a soldier lying on the ground to their left who appears to be either dead or unconscious. It looks like this person tried to rush or deal with whatever this is and was taken out. Derek is in the same rainbow striped shirt from earlier, so it appears that this scene takes place after the one at the barn, as Will is now unconscious. And you can see flashing lights behind them, so whatever's coming at them here, be it Monster or Vecna, has to have some connection to the Upside Down.
Yeah, and one of the the biggest things I really enjoyed and appreciated about this clip is that I really love seeing our boy Mike step up this season, because I feel like we haven't really seen this from him really since season 1. I mean, he did some good things in season 2, but we haven't really seen him, really be this true, heroic figure and leader since season 1. And I really am excited to see that coming back this season, and also just how much he's grown.
Yeah, I agree, and it's great to see him take on more of a leadership role, and it does look like he's got some good hero moments coming up in Season 5, so I'm excited for that too. So next up, we've got another military scene where there's a bunch of soldiers who are standing in what looks like a military base with a guard tower in the background. They've got their guns pointed at the metal plates on the ground, which have started to move, buckle, and come apart. A red glow emanates from one of the metal plates, which starts to buckle and move as if something is coming up from below. This appears to be perhaps one of the monsters. We know the military is going to have a large presence this season, so I'm excited to see how all that plays out. And then our last scene here is one of Will screaming. We have a scene where Will screams, "Run," in a very strangled voice. It seems like he might be possessed, or that something is preventing him from moving. Noah gives such a great performance here. I'm so excited for his storyline in Season 5. Before we hit record, you and I were talking about, this scene in particular, and I love what you said about how Noah feels like it's giving the performance of his life here. And, he's just acting his heart out. And I'm really excited to see his storyline this season. Looks like we're getting some great acting from Noah Schnapp. And the Duff Brothers said that his storyline was going to be a big focus for Season 5. And I'm super excited to see what's in store for him.
And that's our show. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe and tell your friends. Our theme music is provided by Neon Knights. Thank you for listening to this episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. Please join us next time, same dial, same time.
Over and out.